about the universe. I'm going to try and talk as succinctly as I can. Succinctly. Anyway. Alright, basically, what a lot of this hinges on is my theory that nothing exists within existence without the presence of an equal and opposite also existing within that existence. I'm not just talking about the universe. Well, I mean, following the rules of our universe, that as below, so above, as micro, so macro. So yes, it's the same for our universe. So you can't have light without dark. You can't have like movement without the absence of movement. Not just in terms of understanding an idea, but also in terms of the physics behind it. You can't have gravity. You can't have mass. You can't have any of these things without the existence of either something that is its opposite within the same universe, or the existence of a universe, another universe, in which the laws or the rules of those things not simply do not apply, but have never existed. This is because it's a fundamental fact, I believe, that to have anything in a physical form, or in a form that is thought about, there must also exist, either in our universe or in another universe, the complete absence of that form or idea or law. So it boils down to this, like, let's take a door, for example. Now, we know doors exist because we use them to go through, places, through rooms, and all of this, and we grab the handle and we open the door. But for a door, for the first, let's say the very first door, which would have been, a Neanderthal, or a cave entrance, one could even say could be a door, because it could be like a skin covering, alright? The only way that a door could have been created in the very first instance was if a door was not there to begin with. So, and this is a very simple idea obviously, but so a door, that very first door, that skin covering on the cave, could not have been created unless at first there was no door. The opposite of that is that the entire universe was full of doors. So I know it sounds completely like a moot point, but when we take that as law and then we expand it, so to include everything that we know and see and sense and feel in this universe also must be applied with that law, right up to the universe itself. So nothing that we experience with any of our senses or that we feel can exist without first having a universe in which it doesn't exist, and then second, once it does exist, there must be a universe also in which, at a parallel point in existing, it doesn't exist within that universe, right? Now I don't know if there's another theory that encapsulates this, but essentially it's simply taking the law that I believe Newton came up with, that for every force there is an equal and opposite, and expanding that to not just be about forces, but to be about everything. Everything at all. So, it means that we exist in a four-dimensional universe right now. We define any point in time at this universe with XYZ coordinates and a time reference. It's 4 dimensions. For something to exist in this universe, it's physical, and it is in this point in time. It's the only way our universe works. Anything outside of that, then it doesn't exist in our universe. Because our universe is a physical, linear universe, affected by gravity. And off the top of my head, those things are the 3 things that are fundamental to our universe. Right? So it's physical, it's linear in terms of time, and it's affected by gravity. I feel like there's another one, but to be honest, off the top of my head right now, because I'm just talking, I can't bring myself to. I suppose maybe there are conscious beings within this universe as well. That would also be, I think, maybe a fundamental point of this universe. So there's gravity, there's time, there's mass. There's light as well, which I suppose would be another one. But then one can't have light without gravity and mass anyway. But one could have consciousness without gravity and mass. So consciousness being in our universe is important. So take all of those things, let's take each one of them, and we'll put it into a universe which must exist, in which that universe doesn't have any of those laws. Or maybe that universe doesn't have one of them because it creates a universe so impossible that it can't have another unlaw. But then ours has 4 anyway. I mean, let's imagine it. So, first of all, physical. Take that away from the other universe. So we have a metaphysical universe, a non-physical universe. Now that's very simple to imagine. It's vital though. We can't have a physical universe unless there's also the existence of a metaphysical universe. It's simply impossible. Like, it is for something to exist, as I've explained already, there must also be a place in which it doesn't exist, and also it must not exist first within the place. So that is to say, taking physical as an example, that our universe at first was non-physical. Then physical, or mass, came into our universe, and in science we theorise that that's the Big Bang, very simply. So, a singularity birthing the universe in an instant of impossibly high energy in which everything explodes outwards, gradually slows down, cools down, creates elements, planets, stars, and we get to the point we are now where everything's essentially found in balance, found in equilibrium. It's slowed down enough that the forces of gravity are now holding it in its orbits, and we have a universe. However, our universe is still expanding and still cooling. So who knows what's going to be, but that's another thing. Anyway, so that all starts from our universe not having mass. That's our best scientific guess at the moment, the theory of the Big Bang Theory. Secondly, once our universe got mass, and now that it has mass, there must also exist a universe that does not have mass. Now, there are two possibilities there. The first is that that other universe, which now does not have mass, and all the time our universe has mass, does not have mass, that universe, at some point, according to the same laws, you can't have something without the absence of something, at some point, that universe that is now metaphysical was physical. Because you cannot have a metaphysical universe created from a metaphysical universe. Because there's no beginning. Everything in existence is circular. And quantum physics is beginning to see this. And when I say circular, I mean it goes around, but it also goes in waves. Now, this is another paradox, just like quantum physics. How can something be going in a circle and be in a wave? And the answer is that we're thinking about these things in our four-dimensional physical universe. Now, what it looks like for something to be in a circle, that, so by a circle as well, I mean it has two sides too. So this circle is moving around, spinning around. One side you have life, one side you have death, one side you have physical, one side you have metaphysical. As well as doing that, it's also going in waves. A mandala is a good way to imagine this. Now, this is coming from more dimensions than we know, so it's impossible for us to envision. It's like the tesseract. Now, we can postulate on what a tesseract might look like, but we can't show you what a tesseract may look like because it's impossible to draw one. All we can see is the shadow. All we can draw of a tesseract is a shadow. Now, that's because a tesseract is a five-dimensional object. It has length, it has breadth, it has depth, and it has time. Maybe that's the thing. See, at the moment, all of our objects are 4D. Length, breadth, depth, and time. But a tesseract is actually 3D. It's only length, breadth, and depth. Because the laws of time don't exist to a tesseract. And that's why it is in, out, up, down, here, there, existing and not existing. It's a physical representation of a metaphysical. It's not really an object, it's not an entity, a metaphysical energy signature. Something like that. Anyway, so, as I was saying, to understand how things move in a circle as well as a wave, one can imagine a tesseract or a mandala. Now, so what a mandala does, and a tesseract does, is it moves like this, like a kind of kaleidoscopic sort of view. All the while it's moving in and out and around and forward and back, and so it's defying physics and it's defying time. Or maybe it's not defying time. The time aspect is still in question, I guess, with this. But anyway, so we have a universe in which, as I was saying, is metaphysical. So at some point it was either physical. In fact, it probably was at some point physical, because the circle that existence moves in would imply that it was, because our circle began with metaphysical. Because otherwise you can't have a physical, so you can't have a Big Bang. So anyway, that's the first rule. The second is time, or let's take gravity, mass. Sorry, we've already taken mass. Let's take gravity. So gravity affects things based on mass. So if we have a universe at the moment where gravity is existing, which it does, then there's also a universe where gravity is not existing. But then again, like, we don't need to think about how that would exist, because that universe would also be metaphysical, so there would be nothing for gravity to interact with anyway, so it doesn't matter. So there's no reason to sort of think about that. Time, however, we can think about now. We exist in a universe where time has numerous laws, where time exists. Very simply, we must be in one place in time at any point in our existence. We can't be in more than one place. We can only go forward through time from A to B and then C. We can't miss out B, and we can't go from C to A backwards. Now, besides those rules, we don't really know much about it. Sometimes we imagine that time goes fast or slower. Science hasn't really looked into much of that. But there you go, that's essentially our rules of time. Now, let's go to a universe in which those rules don't apply. So, it's not simply saying that time has stopped, it's saying that the rules of time, i.e. that it's linear, that you can't go back, that you have to be in one place, are gone. Suddenly, it's non-linear. Suddenly, you can go forwards or back, whatever you want, or you can stay in the same place if you want, and you can be in more than one place at one time. So there's quantum physics right away. It's a metaphysical science. So we're proving that physical, or things that we can see in our physical world, are influenced by or are in the metaphysical world. And that's the thing is it's quantum physics cannot empirically prove anything at the moment. They're all just theories, because it's looking at metaphysical. So we're basically looking at the shadows of things that are going on. And the reason why I say again that we're looking at shadows is because the metaphysical world can't be viewed or felt with any of our senses, because it's a metaphysical world. It's non-physical, and our senses work in a physical reality, the physical universe. So anyway, going back, there is a metaphysical universe. It is, one could say, parallel to our own. However, the metaphysical universe wouldn't see itself as being parallel, because it is metaphysical. It's not in any fixed physical place, but we would experience it in our physical world as akin to a presence. This metaphysical universe would seemingly be everywhere, but also nowhere at the same time, because it can't be measured. The rules don't apply to it. What it means for us is that, one, the purpose of existence is simply life. Matters not what we do to it, because ultimately we are certain to reach the apex of the circle. Whether or not the apex of the circle has been reached already, impossible to say. Probably has countless billions of times. It's an infinite cycle. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's the very first time right now. It doesn't make our lives any more or any less special. What it does mean is that it doesn't matter what we do. And this means that it matters what we do. If there are no rules to our existence other than basic physical rules, if there are no points to be scored, if there's no heaven or hell, if there's no aliens, if there's no reason for existing, then it means we can do anything, because it's not important what we do anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we score X in life. What matters only is that we enjoy life, and then we turn that into so far as the people we interact with, because then is that important? Well, if it is to you, then it's important, and if it is to them, then it's important. So it's important. So then one has to choose, or one should choose, a good way of life. But then good is determined by what you think, not me. And we could talk a long time on this, but I'm not going to go too much into it. Suffice to say that because it's an inevitability that our universe will reach a point in time at which it becomes once again a singularity and then enters into the non-physical. It doesn't matter what we do because we will get there. It's not narcissism. It's freedom. And it's freedom that empowers. Because I'm not saying there's no point. I'm saying there's no point in trying to find a point. The point becomes the fact that you're alive. And the fact that you feel good about some things and you feel bad about others. So one may as well try and feel as good as possible and try and give other people as good a possible feeling, right? It goes on to my philosophy on you don't have to pretend it's a story anymore. But that's another story. The second interesting thing that I believe is that as well as the universe becoming metaphysical, our universe becoming metaphysical, and the physical universe in turn becoming physical. Sorry, the metaphysical universe becoming physical. That's macroscopic. Microscopically, it also affects us. When we die, we become metaphysical. We become what we could term as a spirit or a soul. However, what a spirit or a soul is not what traditionally we might think of when we say a spirit or soul. What I'm talking about is a metaphysical entity. Now, imagine, what is a metaphysical entity? Well, it's something that's not physical. And it's something that also is not affected by time, probably, because it will exist in the other universe, the other side of the circle, in which all of the rules which apply on this side of the circle must not apply. So therefore, we'll be in that universe which is comprised of nothing physical, so we won't see, hear, touch, taste, anything like that. But time won't affect us, so we can go anywhere and everything. It will be infinite, which means essentially that this metaphysical entity is attached right now to me and you and everyone else throughout time, because time is not a factor to that metaphysical entity in the other side of the universe, in our parallel metaphysical universe. So it means that we don't have souls. It means that we don't have souls. There's no such thing as a soul. Ghosts are echoes, physical echo of an event somehow brought through by time. I don't know how, but a ghost isn't aware of us. A ghost is a physical echo. Perhaps it's a leak in the metaphysical somehow, I don't know. But ghosts, they do not exist in the form that we would imagine, and the same with spirits or souls. We are simply a body, a mind, and a consciousness. We are linked to a soul, though. We don't have a soul. It's not unique to me or unique to you. It's not something that is in us. We have a soul, you could term it, and what that is a link to the metaphysical, a link to this energy entity which is existing in a metaphysical universe without the laws of time, and is and is connected to each of us right now and throughout history and throughout the future, all at the same time, because time doesn't exist. That's what we have. It's a soul, but it's not our soul. It's unique to each of us, but it's not unique. It can create feedback loops. So, if we experience happiness, the soul is happy. When the soul is happy, we feel the soul's happiness, so there's a feedback loop. This is why the law of attraction is, because the soul exists in a metaphysical, and when we manipulate the metaphysical by influencing by proxy the mood of the soul, then the soul feeds that back, and it creates a pull within our physical universe from the metaphysical. This is why it's really important that we remember it's not just about us anymore. It's you and your soul. But remember, it's not your soul. It's simply the metaphysical universe. But it is attached to you, and it does experience everything that you go by, but it's not your soul. It's not completely yours. It's not part of you. It is within the metaphysical. Once you understand that, then you're not just living anymore. Once I understood that, like a few days ago, I was like, holy fuck, what right do I have to be upset anymore? I've got something which by proxy is there all the time and experiencing and feeling based on what I feel. So I should give it as much happiness and, good feelings as I possibly can throughout my existence. Because also, as well as microscopically it affects my universe, macroscopically it's going to affect everyone's universe. I think I'll stop there.